Welcome to Bar YU Live, everybody, and anybody who's watching on Facebook Live and other places. This is Bar YU Live. Bar Y is the brand of Bary Clower, B-A-R-Y, Clower. Bar YU is the show at TexasBigStar.tv that you can see Bary dispensing wit, wisdom, and me a willingness to actually listen to it. And this is Bary Clower over here to my right.
How you doing?
Bary, how are you?
Doing all right.
I'm glad you're here.
Man,
in
glad
person.
to be here.
In person. And
It's been a struggle.
It's been a struggle to get you here.
I know how Columbus felt just trying to get to America the first time. I mean, it's been a struggle.
It has been. It's been good. It's been fun, but I'm glad you're here in the flesh, in person. And to my left, I must say this because it needs to be said, our first sponsor of Bar YU and Bar YU Live, Santo Ironworks, and the head of that operation, yay, the leader. He is what it is. Courtney Chalker, glad you're here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Courtney, Santo Ironworks. What do you make? You make anything, everything, mostly stuff with iron, I imagine, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, I didn't make that.
Oh, okay.
He does. He brought. Courtney's so nice. He's our sponsor. He's believing in Bary in this show, but yet he brought us gifts, like these cool, whatever we call these kind of mugs. I call them just
Tea-glad.
either that, the gas mask mugs. They look like the old gas masks,
They're
but
good.
those are heavy duty. And he brought caps too. Such a nice guy. But Courtney, you make stuff from iron. You weld, obviously.
Yes, sir. We build barns, shops, covered arenas. We've got a little fab shop. We can make toolboxes, furniture, pretty much anything out of steel that you want. We can break, shear, bend, notch, punch holes.
That sounded like my living room
Yeah.
in the evening with all the kids there.
Break,
bend, slap, kick.
He can fix that.
Actually,
too.
we do a lot of work for on Bary's rigs because you never know what he's going to be driving.
Oh, yeah. We got to
but
put
now,
them
see,
together.
He's going to be driving a Dodge.
Yeah. Well, and we deal normally every day in like 16ths or 1/8 of an inch. Bary, he don't even deal in the same year. He's got like a 91 cab on a 56 Chevy bed.
Now, you told me that's the truck that I experienced firsthand when we shoot the episodes of Bar YU.
We would have not had that feed truck if it would not have been for Santo Ironworks.
So you put the bed on that. You Frankenstein that together.
He put
It was
the
his
icing
vision,
on
though.
the cake.
Hey,
yeah, I
was
take my
just
vision.
It was his.
Hear him. He was like, "Hey, no, it was."
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was his grand vision. I
there's
just
gonna-
kind of made it happen.
If there's going to be any prison time, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Oh,
he'll throw me under the 56
that was a very polite way of saying if it's ugly, it's him. But you made it functional.
Yeah, it's one of a kind. That's for sure.
Hey, wait a minute.
It's a great
Now, I'm
truck.
feeling a little bit left out, but that doesn't bother me because I usually
Sure.
dealt with that forever. Always the last kid picked on the ball team
Right.
growing up. But I kind of brought something too that I manufactured.
What you got there?
My feed bucket.
Wow, that's
we
a
wanna be
handy
sure
bit of work in
Yeah.
that plastic Folgers can.
No, Folger's not sponsored.
It's a
It's a
In that
bar- they get to
plastic
sponsor us,
red
we'll
can.
pull that
we'll
off.
take it off.
But
That
you
has
know,
no name.
feed bucket. It's just how cheap you can get one, and we wanted.
That is a Bar
that
YU
is a
feed bucket.
Bar Y.
What
you
type
feed
of
bucket.
livestock would you feed with this particular?
Anything you need feed. I mean, there it is. A lot of guys have gone around and bought these big fancy trip hopper feeders that they
Right.
put on their truck.
Right.
I'd say, why don't you just feed your chickens with the bucket like everybody else do?
Right.
You know. But anyway, it's all.
Well, you know, and miniature horses.
Yeah. If you need to do this, is really I've got a bigger one that's at the first of the month. The money comes in, you buy your feed.
Right.
At the end of the month, when you start running out of feed, you still feel good about giving your horses a full bucket of feed.
Right.
It's just a smaller bucket.
So it makes you and them feel better.
That's what it's all about.
And I just thought of it. There's a second. It's in multiple uses for the Bar YU feed bucket.
We spent a
Should
lot
your
more time
vehicle
on
break down on the road, you can set this in lieu of using a flare. set this right near
like
the
a
edge.
cone, like a
Right.
safety cone.
Dip water and
And-
pour it in your radiator.
And
Get
should you need to
yep.
look official, there's some extra orange duct tape. You can, in fact, duct tape this to the top of your cab
I didn't know how many orders we were going to get.
and
so I
look
was
like an
prepared.
emergency
Be
vehicle.
ready. He got the pin in there too.
Yeah.
So if you must, you can
That's-
pick up one of these.
This is from Santo.
That's for personal monogramming right
yes,
there.
monogramming. And this is from Santo Ironworks. So we
Fantastic.
appreciate that.
Well, we
Hey,
do
you gotta
actually have some.
You guys need to say hi to Spokane, Washington.
Spokane.
Spokane, Washington. That's,
Spokane.
that's northeast Texas, isn't it?
My wife is from Washington. Hey, honey, somebody from Spokane.
Washington.
Lisa's
somebody.
watching too.
Who
Good
is?
deal.
Lisa.
Lisa. Thank
Hey,
you, Lisa.
Lisa.
We're glad you're tuning in.
That's
Lisa,
that's
I've been to Spokane.
my
Your
wife
wife?
supporting. Yeah,
Okay.
supporting.
Hey, Lisa.
And yeah, now you're going to make exactly. Paula better be watching too, or we're going to be.
Well, we talked about stuff you made. Our fine producer, Matt Wallace, the
Yeah.
brain trust behind Texas Big Star TV and Bar YU, has got us some mugs.
That's a good-looking
And
mug right
these
there.
are flying off the shelves, depending on how fast you drive. These are flying off the shelves.
Exactly.
And they actually are.
We want to
I go
give.
through-
We want to give some of them away.
Do you lose mugs like me? I mean,
All
are
the
you a
time.
coffee guy? in the
Oh,
morning? You
yeah.
Coffee guy?
No,
in the
sir.
morning?
No, sir.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew.
Yes,
Mountain
sir.
Dew.
The
He's
hard
all
stuff.
jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I have a habit of getting a mug and then just leaving it wherever, and then about monthly, sometimes twice a month, we have to just clean, and it's
Yeah.
an expedition for me. It's an adventure,
It's like a mug cleansing. Just
It
go
is.
back and get them.
and so we clean out the vehicles. Every room I go look for mugs, and I usually find a good half dozen at least.
Yeah.
So you can never have too many Bar YU mugs. Never, ever, ever.
So
Get you one. Get you one. Get you two.
some.
Get you three. Hey, Matt, what are the prices on these in case someone's going, yeah, I got to have me some of that?
Right now.
Go to texasbigstar.tv.
TexasBigStar.tv. Check it out. You can buy them by the dozen, and it's not.
Probably cheaper by the dozen.
Cheaper.
They
by
are
the
cheaper
dozen.
by the dozen, and
that a movie?
and it's
Yeah.
it's a fantastic. Oh, there you go. Look at there, Bar YU.
You buy a
we
dozen of them for $69.
70 right
dozen?
at $70 for 12 of them. What is that? That's less than $6 a mug.
what a bargain!
You can't even get an expensive cup of coffee, frou-frou coffee, for that.
You know we.
You know what I
could-
mean?
Yeah, I'm saying I'm just gonna go on out there on that little old limb.
Mm-hmm.
Starbucks, watch out.
The Bar
Got your
YU
home brew.
brew.
That's- yeah, yeah.
Well, speaking of brew, what's brewing in your world? I know last week was kind of fun because you were in New Mexico.
Every day's a holiday.
New Mexico, it was storming.
Yes.
Did you see what happened
Yes,
last
sir.
week?
Yes, sir.
yeah,
It was
man.
storming, and he needed some of your ironwork just to hold him down because the wind was blowing. How did that go? How did that ranch
Went
rodeo
great.
go?
We
for
got out there on Friday, shirt sleeve weather. I'm talking about nice, beautiful as it can be. You know, that eastern side of New Mexico is just like Texas,
Right.
in many, many ways, but also with the weather. You don't like it? Wait a minute. It's going to change. And we had that ranch rodeo we put on Friday night. Great show. Then me and my son were actually the judges.
Yeah.
My wife and a friend of ours, a friend of my son's was there, Casey, and she and Lisa, they keep the times. So you got to have timekeepers, you got to have judges, you got to have an announcer.
Yeah.
And they did the announcing basically up from the sound booth of about, you know, what team is up next and, you know, and the
Right.
time that they score that they get that they're writing down. I'm announcing from the arena and judging, and my son's horseback, and he was helping judge. And so that's the team. It takes the team to put that on, comes in from outwards and puts the thing
Sure,
on.
sure.
We're not, you know, playing favorites to anybody, and people know that. And so that helps us get the jobs that we get. Much like Courtney does in his business, you know, the building's going to cost what it costs, and I'm
Right.
not going to variate. And then that way you don't get in trouble with somebody. And so that's why we
Yep.
get the business we got. Saturday, come a storm, rain, freezing cold.
Yeah.
They had a team roping all day. They had a little goat roping for the kids that day, and then that evening we had the final performance. Comical thing of it is that night when the wind laid, the rain's gone. It actually got warmer that evening for us. to put the rodeo on than it was all day, with the other activities.
Wow.
And so, and of course, while we're gone doing that, we've got my son-in-law, Justin, Callie, my daughter, they're there close to Santo, and they can help take care of our livestock, our animals, and kind of be on call, and so that's a big factor. You got to have somebody when
Yeah,
you go out
someone
and do
has
a
to look
job
out.
and you've got livestock, you've got to have somebody in place that you can call on.
Well, that's why
to take care of.
that's why you get the calls you do when you're not
Yes.
doing ranch rodeo. In fact,
Right.
that reminds me.
Exactly.
The first time that I met you, we shot some footage for
Yep.
Bar YU, the show, and you're like, "Hey, I got to go over here to the Hodges place.
Yeah. We
I've
went
got to
down,
go.
they were
I've
out
got
of
to go to
town.
the
Yep.
Hodges place." And I said,
Bill and
"What-"
Linda.
And I was asking our producer Matt. I said, "What does he do?" He goes, "Well, he's a ranch hand. He's a go-to guy. He's the first call guy when people need something done on their ranch. They're going to call Bary Clower." So you do that,
Yeah.
and we got there, and it was a big place.
Yeah.
It was a nice place too.
Yes. And we tried to leave it nice.
We leave it the way we found it.
Yep. We fed. We just took care of their animals, and
That's right.
Yeah, and done what
we
needed
did
to
a
be
few
done.
things. In fact, that particular episode is going to air this next week.
That's right.
And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you need to tune in to TexasBigStar.tv, TexasBigStar.com, but Bar YU. It's the show next week. That was a fun one. That's you left me. You left me out in the field.
We had the self-feeder. You had to feed them yourself.
That was a self-feeder.
Yeah,
And
right
so
now
that's a
we're-
little bit of a teaser about next week, about what you can expect. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a
That was
good
fun.
time. Right now, I guess kind of you'd asked me earlier what we're really doing.
Yeah,
know,
what's
this time
going
of
on
year.
for April? What
Yeah.
happens for you in
We're
April?
we're rushed. A lot of people are calling. Not many of us left to do what we do, and the ones that are left cowboying for a living around
Right.
are really pretty good hands. And boy, we got to have them, and they make up for my shortcomings. But we're branding right now, and that means that we're working the small calves that are just born
So
anywhere from
springtime is just traditionally that's what that happens.
lot of times. Now,
Right.
some people leave their bulls out year round, so you have half your herd you're working, and then half of them that you're weaning off, and so you kind of do both. That's what we're doing right now, and we're staying pretty busy at it and keeping it going. And then we have some steady stuff that we do, feeding and caretaking, riding some horses and everything. So, and I know without people calling and needing us, boy, it'd just be impossible,
Well-
to make it. And like with Courtney's job, I'm contract labor. He's contract labor.
Right.
And that really kicks in. You got to,
It's
really do.
It's the warm weather season. Courtney, for you, what happens in spring for you at Santo Ironworks? I'm sure you work year round.
Yes, sir.
But is spring different? And what is the difference for you? Is it just more installs and things like that?
Well, usually during the winter it's pretty slow because people Christmas is over with and maybe don't have a lot of money. I mean, you get people that gonna get it something built no matter what, and then some are kind of wanting to save their money, and especially when the sun comes out and people start feeling better about and then we start building. But I'd say that's about what goes on now.
You make all sorts of things, both functional and those that are a little more decorative.
Yes, sir.
Barns, you mentioned, but like steel barns.
Yes, sir.
All that. So you pour the pad and everything. You get the concrete done in there. Barry had mentioned something about you pouring concrete at 3 a.m.
Well,
Why 3 a.m.? What was up with that?
Well, the reason it was at 3 a.m. Was
Weather on the way or something?
No, sir. Just it was a huge slab. It was 12,000 something square feet.
Wow.
Which it's not huge, but it's pretty good size.
Substantial.
But by the time if you didn't pour it that early, you'd have been until midnight.
You had to
set
start
up.
that early, right?
Yes, sir. Before you can take your form boards down and all that. So
Right. Is that
that's
one
why-
single slab or was it in sections?
No, sir. It was all single. I mean, one slab. But we had stalls, a stall barn, and
Yeah, he's serious about his
Yes.
business. It ain't, But the neat thing, and what I really respect about Courtney, if you've got a 30 by 30 dog pen you want to build out back, he'll be there and he'll put just as much focus and concern on building that horse stall or dog pen
Sure.
or whatever it is, putting a 56 Chevy bed on the back of a 90 model Dodge,
Right.
whatever it is.
That was awesome.
And so and
He can do it all, sounds like.
he can do it. He's the man, and he is. Without him sponsoring and other sponsors, there's no way, we could make this happen and
Right.
reach people and help people. That's what we're here. We ain't trying
Yeah.
to get famous. I mean, you ought to pick somebody else if you want to get famous. We're
Well,
trying to-
we don't really pick the
to,
famous people necessarily.
share,
we pick the folks that get the job done.
There we go.
And they get it done right.
Yep.
And they get it
That's right.
done because of their character also.
yes,
Quality.
yes,
Not
absolutely.
that they are a character, which you are.
Yeah,
But
you
your
don't
quality
have to be
of character.
there. You don't have to be there to trust that if. Several times I've had people, hey, go load my cattle. I've got 16 out there. Well, they may have 18. I'm calling them and letting them know immediately. And with these phones we got now, I take pictures of that stuff.
Yeah, document it.
And say, hey, there was 18 head. I'm like, oh, there's only 16. Man, you could have fleeced me. And I said, well, yeah, but it wasn't worth it. I would have had to take all 18 to get out of the debt I'm in. So,
Yeah.
no, I
That's funny.
but that's the way Courtney is. He can show up, and when he leaves, you still got all the stuff and probably some extra,
Yeah,
when
right.
he's done. And so
They don't find items missing from your
that's right. And
your
that's
personal
important
residence.
nowadays. You have to remember
Oh,
that.
you better believe it. My brother works in construction, and
Yeah.
he told me a story. He hired a bunch of guys, or a friend of his hired a bunch of guys, and said, "Yeah, I'll get my trailer there." And the guy called and said, "How y'all doing the job?" "Oh, we're doing fine." "Okay, I'll be there in 2 hours."
Yep.
He got a little closer. "All right, I'm just a few minutes away. How y'all doing that job? You get the trailer loaded up?" "Uh-huh." Well, he got there, and those guys were gone. They had
Gone.
taken his truck and his trailer, and they were in Atlanta.
There you go.
They were 5 hours away.
There you go.
They think
Yeah.
that's where they were. Never found them.
Yeah, that's horrible.
But that's, I think, integrity, getting a job done right, and people you can trust, it speaks volumes.
Santo Ironworks.
Santo Ironworks.
There you go.
Integrity, people you can trust. So you make heavy duty stuff
Yes, sir.
for livestock, pens and things like that.
Yeah, we do. We can do anything. We cattle facilities, horse facilities, covered arenas, barn shops, bunkhouses, metal homes. We have brakes and shears and punches, and we have dozers and excavators. We'd like do turnkey stuff. We can do as little or as much as you want. But we do. The small town where Bary and I live. There's not a lot of that. There's me and maybe one other guy that has some stuff like that. So people are always bringing tractor, busted this, busted that,
Repairing
or in Bary's
farm
case,
tools,
busted
implements.
trailers, busted
Broke down.
truck, broke
Yeah.
down this, broke. So
Yeah,
I
break horses and everything else I touch. I mean, he's
Yeah.
figured out that.
Yeah.
If I could do as good breaking horses as I do everything else,
it'd be, yeah.
You know, I'm in between two guys that you're looking at an interesting aggregation of people right here because
what'd you call us?
yeah.
I'm not aggravated.
you're looking at an interesting aggravated bunch of guys. right here.
Oh, okay, I got you there. Ag-related.
I've been around in different places and lived in the U.S. and I grew up right in the country, but not with
Tennessee.
Not in Tennessee, not with the
Yeah.
amount of livestock that you work. We didn't really
Right.
have cowboys, usually hillbilly.
Yeah.
We
And
got something there.
and there were folks that worked with iron and things like that. But in fact, the closest
Most
thing
of them
I
worked
had
with
was,
copper, didn't they?
back then.
Like those steels.
Well, especially up near Mount Eagle Mountain.
Boy, I'd like.
Just saying.
Like they had them mugs back then, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but I grew up in the music field, mostly music, entertainment, things of that nature, and you didn't mind paying for a quality instrument.
Correct.
You didn't mind paying that extra $400, $500, $600 for something that's going to retain its value, and then 50 years from now, it's going to be an heirloom that still sounds great,
Yeah.
and you can pass it on, and it's still going to be functional, and you use it over and
Well-
over because it's your go-to guitar. I would imagine that's
Next-
what Santo Ironworks
Next
makes.
generation right there. And not to cut in, but just to cut in. Matt was talking about his dad sticking
Yeah,
a pipe in
Matt,
the
you were
ground
saying your
60
dad-
years ago. Is that
60
right?
years ago,
Right there's
Mr.
the
Mark
next-
Wallace
Yeah.
just went out to the Big Bend area on a tour to just see a bunch of things, and they had a great time. And there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That iron, him and some friends of his sunk in the ground 60 years ago. It is still there. It don't look like it's going to go anywhere.
The post doesn't look like it's aged as much. I don't know. I'll have to talk to Mr. Wallace about that. But that's what my point was, bringing that up, is Courtney's that next generation that is concerned about, hey, him or his kids or grandkids could be standing by the building that he's building right now, or the house that they live
Well,
in.
a pen. You want your livestock. That's money.
Yes.
You want to protect them and keep them.
Yep.
So the things that you're making, you make.
right.
solid.
I try real hard. Quality over quantity. I can't do more than one job at a time.
Right.
Yes.
I tried it. It just don't work. So I just do the one that we're on, and if the next guy in line can't wait, that's all right. We'll go something else. So
Normally it goes back and repairs what the individual even chose to go, because we've talked about that, and that's talking about waiting. A guy asked me basically, hey, we want to work on Saturday. I said, I can't be there. And it really humbling at first, prideful a little bit, but then it humbled me because he said, well, if you can't be there, we'll just wait till next week.
Right.
That made me feel good, and then I realized, well, there really ain't nobody else. It's not that, but knowing that he has
not
done
a
it
lot of you
before,
left.
he's done it before without some of the tools that we have to do the job. Not me, but my tools were needed there, basically, and maybe some of the experience. And they know that, hey, we did this last time with Bary and his crew. It worked.
Yeah.
The times we didn't, we ended up having to pay those guys that came, and then we had to pay Bary and his crew, mainly the crew, to come back and clean up the mess. And I always try to charge more to clean up the mess than I would have if I went the first time, because it's messier. I mean, it's
messier.
worse.
Yeah.
And then you spend more time. It's about getting, like Courtney, I do one job at a time, and if you can't wait on me, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't get it done, but if you need me, you need our services, you need our experience, and the experience that I have just drilled into this whole deal. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to put on a ranch rodeo. I don't know how to cowboy. I don't know how to break a horse. But I have learned in the last 31 years, it's just like marriage. I know what not to do. And that is what I've learned from my wife. She has taught me what not to do.
Don't do that.
And I am the king of my house because the queen lets me be.
yeah.
I'm the head. But she reminds me every day that she's the neck, and she can turn the head any direction she needs to. And so I emphasize no extra charge for marriage counseling. But what not to do, and that's the key. And that's what Courtney, and he has an agricultural background, horses, Colorado, he's up there in the rough country gathering cattle, and he hauled a lot of cattle and bought a lot of cattle. So he knows a lot of times he can help people know what they need. He said, hey, I need to build a barn. Well, that's fine, but you need a gate over here. Oh, no, we won't ever use that gate. He said, oh, yeah, but your horse will, or your cow will.
Right.
Oh, okay, and then...
And they weigh a lot more than you.
Absolutely. And then we need a little gate here to walk
And lean
through,
on that stuff.
That's right.
Yep. So it helps.
helps.
Exactly.
Wow. Some folks don't realize the importance of just having good stuff, good fences, good gates, good gear, heavy-duty stuff, because especially with livestock, farm and ranch, things of that nature. Santo Ironworks. Folks, we're going to say it again, Santo Ironworks. They're the only sponsor. They're the one and only sponsor so far of RYU.
Corporate sponsor.
They're our first corporate sponsor. You can be, too. We'll talk about you a lot, too. Courtney, what's the strangest thing you ever made? We just have about 3 minutes left. What's the strangest thing you ever had to make
Oh my goodness.
that you can tell us?
Probably. I'm on.
The ride down here with me.
No.
Go ahead. No.
I bet that's right.
Bed number 5.
The number 5.
Head number 5.
Bary again with his visions. He took an old stock like a what they haul in there, goats or
Yeah, it was just a 4 by 8 foot stock trailer square.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah.
And we cut the tongue off of it, cut the axles out from under it, and we mounted it on
A 90 model,
the gray Dodge.
Gray Dodge pickup.
Yeah, and it was a gas rig.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I don't mind welding on diesels, but when you get that gas rig,
Yeah, because diesel won't explode. So,
Yeah,
you know,
diesel's not going to.
So,
explode.
you know, that was a little bit tricky. But
Yeah.
you ever get the floor in it?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I've got to get you brave enough to weld on it again over that gas tank. But I really felt like I did my job. While he had that welder welding on it, I had the water hose drenching him down so that he wouldn't burn completely up.
Sure.
And then I thought, well, if it blows up and he burns to death versus shocking him to death because he's using the wire welder and me. So we just kind of backed off, and I just got out there to where I could dial 911.
You're a brave man.
The
Yeah,
quickest. So.
yeah.
But he's
Santo
willing to risk
Ironworks,
his life.
The bravest
for-
people we know. Speaking of brave, let's take a quick 30-second foray into the future. What are you doing next week? What's going on? Tell
Next week, we got some more calves to brand. I guess every day, and then we've got some that we've got to gather right quick for some folks.
Right.
On the 15th, we will be at Wood County Cowboy Church over in Quitman.
Wood County.
And they have a women's Iron Man or Iron Woman competition and an Iron Man competition where they turn 3 animals out in the arena. They have to pin one, load one in the trailer, and rope
sure.
one. You know, and
Yeah.
so you've got to do all that at the
love
same time. And so it's going to be a pretty neat deal, and we're going to get to go help them. And the greatest part for me is getting to share the Lord, especially on Easter, Sunday.
That's
And
Easter Sunday, right?
Yeah, Easter
Yeah.
Sunday. That Sunday we'll be back home, but that Saturday, and a lot of times at those cowboy churches, that's their goal is to get people there that normally wouldn't come to church.
Sure.
We don't beat them over the head with the Bible. We just share, hey, this. There's a lot of ways to do things, but I believe that there's only one way to get to heaven.
Right.
Jesus says that, and so I trust that, and so we try to share that, and that's another thing that Courtney and I have in common. We have faith, and that we could not do what we do if we didn't have faith in Jesus. So it works out good.
Bary, Clower, Courtney Chalker. Courtney, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Santo
it.
Ironworks, folks. Good folks, great product, and people you can trust. And Bary Clower, good folks, great product.
Great.
BarYU Live, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you,
Looking
buddy.
forward to the ride home.
We're building bridges right here.
to get your
The new episode coming out next week of BarYU, check that out. TexasBigStar.tv, TexasBigStar.com. BarYU, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you.
God bless you. God bless you.